So hello and welcome back to my channel, and today I basically just wanted to talk a little bit about recovery. So if you have looked at other videos on the channel, or if you know me in real life, you will know that about 3 months ago now I had surgery to remove fibroids from my uterus. Um, Fibroids are something that a lot of women deal with. I think something like 70% of all women, regardless of like race, will suffer with them at some point. Not necessarily suffer with them, but may present with them. And I say there's a difference there because not everybody who has fibroids actually needs to get them removed. It doesn't cause everyone who has them problems. But for some people it does cause problems with like periods, problems with fertility, problems with pain, problems with other organs, problems with weight gain. So yeah, 70% of all women will present with them, but it's probably a smaller percentage who will actually have issues with them in terms of their health. And I think it's 80% of women from Afro-Caribbean backgrounds, possibly also South Asian, who will present with them. So 80% of Black and Asian women, I believe, 70% of white women. So they're kind of like an issue for most women, right? It's 70%, so this is most women will present with fibroids at some point. And I won't go into it because it's a long story, but I discovered them as a byproduct of having gone through treatment for breast cancer. So some of the treatment that I was on for breast cancer, hormone therapy, led to additional issues that led to fibroids being discovered. And I don't know for sure, but one of the medications I was on for breast cancer leads to a higher instance of fibroids, or a higher kind of a higher rate of like fibroid growth. So pretty much not all, but most of my female relatives have had fibroids. So my grandma, my mum, a few of my sisters. So it kind of ran in the family. And I feel as though I probably had them for quite some time. I feel like when I was, I don't know, maybe almost 10 years ago, I might have felt one in my abdomen area, or like lower abdomen, kind of pelvic area. But then after this treatment that I was on, I ended up with 12. And I only know there were 12 because my surgeon removed 12. I think through scans and ultrasounds and stuff, I think we thought there were about 9, or that's all I'd ever really been told. But there were actually 12. So for me it did cause lots of problems in lots of different areas, not least of having like a really bulky uterus. I think my uterus was measuring something like 5 months pregnant at all times for like 2 years, so you can imagine how difficult that was. And yeah, instant removal meant that I lost instantly 5 kg, which was interesting. So I feel like the fibroids weighed about 5 kg. But I don't actually know how much they weighed. I just know that there were 12 of them and that they had expanded my uterus to the size of a 5-month pregnancy. So yeah, it was very uncomfortable having them. It was becoming more and more uncomfortable. I did acupuncture for over a year to help me manage symptoms, which for me mostly presented in terms of like menstrual pain and issues with periods, heavy periods, that kind of thing. I was anemic. I probably still am a little bit. So I'd have to have iron infusions. So yeah, a bit of a nightmare. But I had surgery on July the 11th and I've been off recovering since. So I've had 3 months off work. I'm due back into work very soon. This is my last week off when I'm filming this. And I'm due back into work next week. And I thought it'd be really nice to sit down and just kind of like talk through my recovery a little bit and talk through kind of, I'm going to probably call this video something like notes on recovery or reflections on recovery, or tips on how to recover well if I have any. But I had abdominal surgery, so there was an incision. I have an incision, I have like a scar now from the bottom of my belly button to like the top of my pelvic area, so about 10 centimeters. And then there's also going to be like internal kind of incisions as well, but everything seems to have healed up really well. I had my post-op a couple of days ago, and everything is looking well, both outside of my abdominal area and inside the womb. So I would say that I'm definitely feeling pretty well recovered, but it really did take 12 weeks. And that's one of the first things that I want to talk about in this video, is how you really need to give yourself time to recover. So I'm somebody who, if you know me, you may think I'm a little bit lazy. Like, I really like to relax. I think I really know how to relax. You know, I go on meditation retreats, I spend a lot of time at home, I spend a lot of time doing grounding activities like baking and cooking, and I like to nourish myself. I love doing self-care activities like having long showers and washing my hair. And I think at first glance you might be like, wow, Tony-Ann is a little bit lazy. But if you dig like a layer deeper, you'll notice that actually I'm somebody that is doing a lot at all times. So I have a full-time job, I'm writing like 2 things. I'm writing a novel, top secret information that is, and I'm writing a memoir. I am doing tarot readings, I'm doing private tarot readings occasionally, I'm doing readings for YouTube. So those are all the things I'm doing in terms of like activities. I'm reading, I'm writing, I'm working, I'm cooking, I'm spending time with my husband, I'm trying to spend time and talk to my family, I'm trying to spend time and talk to friends. So I actually have quite a busy life. And it may not look like it because I prioritise my self-care, I prioritise time to myself, but even when I'm at home, time to myself, my mind is constantly working on things for what I'm writing, like plot structures, characters, taking courses about mediumship or ghosts or writing, or I'm constantly doing. And so recovery asked me to pause in a way that I actually find super hard. And this is my second, well, to be honest, this is my third long recovery period, at least. About 10 years ago, a little less than 10 years ago, I had glandular fever, which I took about 6 months to recover from, but it was a much, less extreme recovery. There was no surgery or anything like that. It was mostly about pacing myself, resting, because I'd completely burnt out. I was studying for a postgrad and I was working full time, so full burnout. That was about 10 years ago. And then I had breast cancer, which was about 5 years ago now I was diagnosed. And then again I had a 6-month recovery, but I was recovering from the breast surgery, I was recovering from radiotherapy, and just the toll that having had the cancer in my body had taken on me. And then fast forward to now, I've just had 3 months of recovery from this surgery. And honestly, I feel like the recovery from this surgery was the hardest. And that was because it required me to pause in a really real way. Recovering from glandular fever, yeah, I took it really easy for 6 months. I changed down to part-time work, I think. That's when I started doing yoga and meditation, that kind of stuff. Recovering from breast cancer, I was still able to be quite physically active. I was still able to walk every day. A girl that I met at a cancer support group laughed at me once because she was like, 4 days after surgery you're walking an hour a day, and I was like, yeah, I used to walk an hour a day around the park because my legs were fine, my core was fine, but with this there was none of that. There was no walking around the park an hour at a time. It was a struggle to walk at all. I would be in pain if I walked longer than like 3 minutes at the beginning. It was painful to get out of bed. The very first time walking after the operation was like agony. Could barely like sit up or like stand up straight. And to be honest, all of that took this whole time to get better. I think my initial like sick note from work was 8 weeks, and I kept thinking, by the time I reach 8 weeks, I'm going to be healed, I'm going to be fine, I'm going to be living my best life. But no, I'm now at 12 weeks and I'm just now feeling like a human. Like I now actually feel better. And I feel quite good now, which is great. And I really am beginning to feel the benefits of no longer having the fibroids. So I guess my first point about recovery is to allow it to take the time that it needs to take and be very aware that it can take a really long time and you have to be really, really patient with yourself. The other thing I want to say about recovery is that it will have its ups and downs. So I think it was at about 7 weeks when I was thinking about going to work the first time, going back to work. The top of my incision, like by my belly button, opened up a little bit. It was grim. It wasn't really as like dramatic as I say, opened up a little bit. I think really what happened is a bit of the surgical glue that was still there at that point fell off, and underneath it wasn't quite healed. Or I might have like jabbed it with a piece of clothing or an item. It might have been my umbrella in my pocket, I don't know. But it started to bleed a little bit. And the panic, because I just thought, oh my God, is my whole incision going to open back up? And it felt like a setback. It felt like, oh, I'm supposed to be feeling better at 7 weeks, but actually my body is not healed. And so I then actually took another like 4 weeks, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, another 5 weeks. And now I'm feeling so much better, and now the wound is so much more healed. So yeah, there will be ups and downs. I think I spoke about this a little bit in a video that I put out at the beginning of the recovery, is that it's also quite hard mentally. It's kind of grueling to no longer be able to just move your body in a normal way, do your normal routine, pick up a bag, pick up a heavy pot. To be so restricted in your everyday movement and activities really takes a toll on you mentally. To not be able to like make it to the end of the road to meet a friend is difficult. To not have the energy to spend time chatting to a friend or talking to people on the phone, very difficult. I haven't been able to go down to see my family all summer when I would usually have gone down for like a week, because the thought or the physical toll of having to get to the train station, get on a train, sit on the train, get off the train, get on a tube, get off the tube, get on a bus. Like the journey through the country to see my family is just a no-no, still a no-no, but I'm hoping I'll be feeling much better by Christmas and I'll be like, yeah, I'm gonna get on that train. But the kind of isolation it can cause because you can't get out into your community in the way that you would normally is not something to be underlooked. Like it's a massive part of recovery is learning to be with yourself. And even though I'm the kind of person that loves being with myself, highly introverted, go on meditation retreats regularly, having this imposed by my selfness, it was actually hard to get used to. Did it feel isolating? I kind of enjoy it, but it's definitely notable. You have to be comfortable with isolation, I think, to get through recovery. You have to be mindful of isolation, and to have people that are willing to come into your space. So thankfully, I live with my husband, so he's with me every single day, so it doesn't really feel that bad, really. But just being aware that you can't always go out to others, so people have to come to you. So I had a friend come stay with me at 6 weeks. I have a friend that lives really close by who I started taking short walks with. And that was like amazing for my mental health, because even though I love being on my own, I have to sometimes push myself out to hang out with others because it does boost your mood. What else other musings about recovery can I put here as I prepare to go back to work, which I'm very excited about. I think that's another thing, kind of knowing when you're ready. Like one of my sisters would always say this to me, she'll be like, you'll know when you're ready, because 8 weeks, like 4 weeks ago when I was due to go back to work, I wasn't ready, and so I wasn't looking forward to it. Now I'm ready, now my body is ready, I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to get back out to work, my goodness. I can't wait. I've been here for 12 weeks. I can't wait to go out every day, or most days, because I work from home too. I work from home twice a week, so I'll be going into the office 3 days a week, and I can't wait to like go in and have interaction with the students I work with my team, sitting in my office. So you'll know when you're ready to re-emerge, because it will suddenly feel exciting. It won't feel like, oh God, I don't know if I can do that. You'll actually feel excited. So yeah, recovery, it gives you a gift in the isolation, I suppose. It gives you a kind of peace. It gives you time to connect with yourself. It gives you time to reassess. It gives you time to think about your goals. It gives you time to look after yourself. It gives you time. And if you're lucky enough to be able to recover in a peaceful place with support and with love, if you're lucky enough to have time off work that is paid, then recovery can be a really beautiful thing. But don't underestimate like the hardness. I think I'm overly optimistic, and I think I always underestimate how hard things are. And this recovery was hard. Out of all the health conditions I've had in my life, this has been the hardest recovery, but it's also been the most peaceful, because even though it's forced me to be with myself, it's really forced me to do that, because, you know, for a long time, like I said, I couldn't walk a few minutes without a lot of pain. So I was, you know, confined to my house or the corridors in my building. But that, for me, brings me quite a high level of peace. So if you resonate with this video, if there's something you're recovering from, if you know you're going to have a period of recovery in the future, whatever recovery means for you, then I hope this kind of resonates. You can kind of see what a gift it kind of is, but the challenges it may present. And if you're having trouble kind of taking that recovery to yourself because of the life that you lead, then I just hope and pray for you that your body still gets what it needs, that your mind still gets what it needs, that you can find a smaller version of what I've just had. Right? Just a taste of what I've just had, I think is really good for the soul, even if it's challenging. And I pray in whatever way you go through that recovery, that you get some of that peace that I have gained. Take care, lots of love, bye.